Hello, Twitch. We are here with a lot of friends for a new episode of Howdy Partner, AWS Howdy Partner. Howdy Partner is a show. We've already got a bit of an echo. Thomas, you want to maybe a little bit on your machine? I think we're getting some audio interference. I think it's gone. There we go. Cool. So AWS Howdy Partner. We're here with a really special partner, ChaosSearch. Thomas just left. He got upset that I asked him to turn his machine down, but we still have Kevin. Kevin from ChaosSearch, and up top over there to the left, we've got Taz Miller with his debut on the AWS Twitch channel. Hello. Let's start with you, Taz. My name's A.M. Grabelny. I'm on this channel quite a bit. If you've never seen me before, I'm a solutions architect here at AWS, and I just talk. Like, that's my job. I talk to you all about technology. But Taz, introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Taz Miller. I'm a partner solutions architect, also at AWS. My job in some ways is to give AM somebody to talk to. So that's what I do for most of my day.
I hire somebody to be my friend. Yeah, it's true.
But today, we're super excited to talk to you about ChaosSearch, and we will get to them in a moment. But before, I would like to bring to you all a little bit of a news story update that I've been working on.
Well, let's introduce the show real quick.
Okay, we're doing the whole intro.
This is only our second episode. Second episode here of Howdy Partner. I would probably guess that nobody is on the stream right now knows what this is or has seen it before. Maybe you joined us last week for Epsagon. I hope you did, and I hope you joined us on Wednesday for our next episode too. But Taz, what is Howdy Partner? What's the point? What are we doing here?
Sure. So, the whole point is for us to get the experience to see partner solutions work in real time. It's one thing to be able to go online, read documentation, find YouTube videos or whatever your preferred learning style is. With this, we get to be here live with ChaosSearch, and they're going to walk through their platform with us, and including a live demo. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so one of the great things about Howdy Partner, and the reason why we love doing this, is we want you all to interact with us. Please give us shout outs in the chat. If you got questions, we'll be monitoring that to try and get your answers as we go through the show. But overall, Howdy Partner is just a great opportunity for the partners of AWS to come on and showcase what they do best.
That's right. We've got Thomas and Kevin, and they'll introduce themselves here in just a bit. But Taz, you mentioned that you have we can't use this term probably because it's maybe copyrighted. So a Monday, what's a synonym for update? So I don't get trademark
refresh.
A Monday refresh. Is this live with Taz Miller for Monday refresh? Is that right?
Yeah, I think that we'll workshop it and see. We'll improve this as we iterate on. So if you have any suggestions, put it in the comment. But for now, we're going to roll with the Monday refresh with Taz Miller.
I thought you're ready to go. I kicked it over too early. I gave away. You got to share your screen before.
I'm ready. We're good to go.
Okay. Monday refresh with Taz Miller.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Today I want to talk about a really serious topic. I don't know which hand I'm using. We're going to use this one. Here we see an individual who I'm going to choose to protect his identity, and we will call him Chaz. Chaz has a background in web development. He likes to build things fast. When you click things on a web page and stuff happens, that's what he lives for. Recently, Chaz was heard saying something like, "I don't like working with logs," or I think that logs are difficult, just totally slandering the great thing that is logs because he just wanted to move forward. To him, logs look something like this. Not necessarily useful when they are just sitting there. And who among us doesn't have, some file either on our servers, maybe we're exporting them somewhere else where it's just loads and loads of system files. At rest, they're not really that useful. The goal is to be able to turn them into this really scientific chart. You can tell it's going well because we're going up, and that's what we want to see. So that's the challenge.
That's like stocks, right, Taz? It's just like stocks.
It's just like
up
stocks.
And to the right.
You want it to go up and to the right. I think that's the general trend for all data. Disclaimer: I am not a data scientist and have no claim to speak on this. But before we go into like how we go from the matrix to a chart, I want to talk about my friend. And I've got a joke, and I hope you all will not hate me after this. Why did the elk cry at the funeral? He had lost a dear friend.
No. You're off the
Is that rough? Well, it's been good talking to you. I'll see you all sometime later. Back to you, AM. So for those of you who are not familiar, you may be asking, why is there a large horned animal on the screen right now? Well, that is an elk. And in the business, we have something called the elk stack, which is specifically Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. Now, what these do is they are a great resource to take things that look like this and turn it into things that look like this. So that's what we need to do. Like this, who cares about all of these things? But the thing that is tough is getting to this point. In fact, as you're going through it, you may feel like you're in one of these. Configuring an Elasticsearch cluster, there are a ton of configurations. You need to be able to optimize it. And then you have to ask yourself, what kind of queries do you want to do on it? Honestly, there's just so much work that goes into it.
What is that, Taz?
What was that?
What is that?
This is the inside of an airplane, specifically, I believe, a Concorde jet. Unfortunately, we haven't been flying in those in a few decades, probably because it was a little bit too complex. Okay. Actually, that is not the reason why we're not flying in them, but we'll go with the complexity. But anyway, what if I told you that there was a better way to log? And that's where ChaosSearch comes in. So they are able to help you take, again, this data and move it to here, but do it in so much more simple of a manner than if you were to go in and individually tweak all of those dials yourself. In addition, though, than just like managing the data processing and everything for you, one of their unique value propositions is they can do all that while you actually retain ownership within, for example, your S3 buckets. And so we're super excited to have them with us today to learn how they can help you wrangle your logs. And also, they're not just limited to log data. Basically, any kind of data that you can put into S3, text-based data like this, you can gain all sorts of insights from it to be able to use to whatever your unique business case is. And so that is the Monday refresh. Is we're going to refresh with you all. How can you move forward with your logs?
You almost used the copyrighted term.
I almost used the copyrighted name. I know I caught myself
slipping through.
Monday refresh.
We already had some feedback too, not in the Twitch chat, but Cookie Points, aka Paul, hit me up offline saying that I need to incorporate a lot more sound effects during your Monday refresh.
We'll work on that.
Like fake claps?
Yeah, that could be good. What do you mean fake? Wait.
Real claps, real claps.
Yeah, Thomas is already throwing down the gauntlet here, saying that you need fake claps, Taz.
I know. I'm feeling a lot of shade here. Like, first my elk joke is getting me kicked off of the show, and now like Thomas is throwing shade. Like, this is my debut on live Twitch, and I feel like I'm getting this hate.
So I will say this: I'm honing your style and your movie references. So I'm actually trying to mirror your show here. So if I can get started, maybe I'll talk a little bit about chaos before we get into demonstration.
Yeah, but let's give the people an intro to both of you, Thomas and Kevin. We took our time and told us a little bit about me and Taz. Thomas, who are you?
So I'm the founder and CTO, I guess, chief nerd of ChaosSearch. And we've been at this for roughly about 5 years, and we brought out our offering about a year ago. And we're super excited to be here on the channel with this new or second annual Howdy style podcast. So super excited to talk.
Yeah, and Kevin, what about you?
Yeah, I'm Kevin Davis. I'm a Senior Director of Solutions Architecture here, and really I help all of our potential customers get a trial up and running, helping them understand the general philosophy and architecture of the platform and make sure that they see value within their data within a few minutes as opposed to a couple weeks or months without having to manage all the difficult hardware. And as Taz had pointed out on the Concorde, all those different knobs and things that they might need to tweak along the way.
Awesome. Hey, so I have the classic slide up here that it's going to change very, very quickly. Let's just say this weekend I had a lot of time on my hands. So if I go over the top on the next few slides, I apologize, but you got to get your creative juices out somehow. So, the real big vision of Chaos is turning your S3 into a searchable analytical platform where it's as simple to stream data in. We all know how S3 scales. It's easy, it's simple, secure, reliable. And we transform it into a elastic API with Kibana access. And as I mentioned, maybe in our last podcast, SQL and Looker or Tableau integration. So, this platform we believe it's game changing because we start with your storage. You own it. We put our distributed fabric around it to automate the indexing, the discovery, as well as publishing APIs. So as simple as it is to you to stream data into S3, it's as simple to get analytics out. So without further ado, I'm going to start. I hope you can hear some of the sound effects, but here we go. I'm going to try it. Here we go. Can you hear it? Hold on. Let me try it one more time. 1 second. Let me do change audio. 1 second. I'll try one more time. One more thing.
Let's see.
Coming. And
okay, can you hear me still?
We can hear you.
We got you.
All right, here we go. Still going to my phones. 1 second. I'll get it.
So while he's working on that, so we do have a question. Is the data ingest specifically just S3, or can you do like a Redshift data warehouse as well?
So yeah, great question. I'll jump in, Thomas, while you troubleshoot that. So right now it's solely S3, so the data does need to reside within the S3 bucket. So if you can get data into Redshift data warehouse, then along the way it's probably landing in S3 anyways. And that's really one of the benefits that we provide our customers is limiting that data movement from service or platform, the platform, and really just stream it directly into S3, and then our service will pick it up from there.
Sure.
I'm ready. I'm gonna try one more time. You guys can hear me, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Thanks for the question, Yuri.
So we know. Okay, we know this. We know. Yeah, it was a lot of setup, but it'll get better. You know, the big bang of big data, it's growing, it's huge, and we bet really early, really hard on Amazon's S3 storage, and we've had some great experience with the idea that all data roads lead to S3, and it's originally designed for archival, then it's a staging ground. Our viewpoint is store everything in object storage, your services, your devices, your IT. And ChaosSearch is here to scale that access. But the problem is, as Taz was mentioning, the tsunami of data, it's a nightmare, right? We all know the pain of running Elk, particularly at scale, where it falls over. You get in a lot of trouble. It's a great platform, but really, there are some serious problems. So this is where ChaosSearch comes in. So without further ado.
Paul's still watching. Here are your sound effects.
And so the idea is that really,
Here I was worried about, Saturday Night Live, but nope, we've got Disney coming after us now.
The idea is that the data lake and S3 is a fantastic platform to stream data in, and so what we went out to do is create a new index technology with a new architecture that allows us to index structured, unstructured data to ultimately publish Elastic APIs as well as SQL APIs on that data directly without data movement. And the key thing is time to results, where if it's a new workload, you're up in minutes. And you'll see this in the demonstration, is that ChaosSearch really provides unique time to results because we start with your storage and we publish the well-known APIs and visualization that you've used in the past. And so we really believe in the Chaos storage analytics convergence play. So what you see here in this diagram is you store data in your buckets, and our index technology, we call it Chaos Index, will index it, write it back into your account, and both text search relational queries from our distributed fabric will access that and provide that same Elk experience or SQL, say Looker type experience. We provide data management. This data refinery, which you'll show from Kevin's demonstration, is unique. The ability to virtually instantly transform data to create new views, to clean it, to prep it. It gets indexed in a way that you can call them index patterns in Kibana or tables in SQL. We have role-based access control for multiple user access, single sign-on. And the key thing is we are really APIs on your object storage. So we like to say we're the next level in scale and savings. So you don't have to break the bank to do multiple terabytes a day of data and up. We provide unlimited retention, so you can store it and access it at any point in time, a week, a month, a year.
So Thomas, before we move on, like we've brought up indexing a number of times. And so for someone who's, maybe new to Elasticsearch or Elk or anything like that, what exactly is going on when we're indexing that data?
Yeah, so I'll talk it through. So like Elk and Elasticsearch, they use Lucene and inverted index for text search. We have our own index. So the idea is that if you have data in your S3, we can statically index it, and we'll just use a object group that you'll see in our demonstration to walk the objects and index it and write it back to your account. Or you can set up an SQS notify to read the data as the data comes in and write those indices back in. We use Amazon's roll-on access, so you provide read-only access to those particular buckets, and we'll write those indices into a particular bucket in your account that we ultimately search and query.
Cool.
And so
think I saw
without further ado, the demonstration.
Oh,
I try to keep it fun.
I liked it.
And
I still like it.
get us taken down with copyright infringement.
Yeah.
You and Taz are keeping us on the edge of our seats.
We were talking about pushing the boundaries of what we can do production value wise. I think that we may have found it.
All right.
What's a
So
few
Kevin,
lawsuits, right?
yeah, a few, totally. Kevin, you've got your screen up now. You've got looks like the actual ChaosSearch UI here, huh?
It is. So this is the first part of the platform. Users will see after they log in and set up the role arm and IAM role and policy. And that's really how we go about getting access. So unlike other systems where you have to deploy agents and collectors all throughout the infrastructure, with ChaosSearch, it's really straightforward to get up and running. You just create a simple IAM role, usually called ChaosSearch, and then attach policy to that role. So here's kind of an example policy where you're just defining the bucket that we have access to, and then allowing us to write that index or indices back into that same S3 bucket. And then from there, we create that trust relationship with external. And that really is what enables us that read-write access that we require to start indexing and allowing our users to search against their data.
We had a quick question from chat from Murray. What about lifecycle rules moving logs to Glacier? What happens to the index that already exists in that bucket, and do you lose any kind of historical view within the ChaosSearch console?
I'll jump in there. So the idea is that because our representation is so small, a lot of our customers store our indices really for eternity, and we have a lifecycle control that Kevin can show within our product, store for weeks, months, years, and they either delete the raw source or they move that to Glacier. But our representation actually compresses the data at the size of gzip or better. So often they use our index in the primary storage, but we do support the ability to use Glacier in the tiering aspect of S3 to keep your storage costs relatively low.
So essentially, you can move your source data into Glacier, but your ChaosSearch functionality shouldn't be affected.
That's right. And our indices are the source of truth, meaning that we fully index them. So a lot, if not all our customers actually delete the raw source and have us be the source of truth in their S3 account.
Cool. Thanks for the question, Murray. Sorry for the interruption, Kevin.
No problem. And really to get that stuff set up, what we do, as Thomas had mentioned, is we go ahead and we start creating these object groups. And really object groups for us, they're just virtual filters on like data sources and data formats. So, we can take our CloudFront logs, our ELB logs, VPC flow logs, Kubernetes logs, whatever data source you want to start working with, and simply click create object group. And then from there, start filtering on the different prefixes within your S3 bucket. Most of our customers have this directory style setup. So it's really simple for them to start honing in on the different data sources and data types that they want to work with. But if you just use S3 as a dumping ground for archiving and disaster recovery, you can also use the regex filter to group those logs together. And then for some customers have different microservice type architectures, they'll actually use this object metadata tag here and then enter in the key value pair for production or staging, whatever it might be, and just really enabling different ways to group data, but make it simple really to start working and searching on that data set. And then from there, the system will immediately detect. So that's one of the unique thing is as soon as we start creating these object groups, we'll actually normalize the data for you. And through that process, we'll immediately understand the format we're working with, whether or not objects are compressed or uncompressed in the event that you are compressing files, or if you're just storing CloudTrail or VPC flow logs directly in S3, and AWS does a good job of putting those in a gzip JSON format. There's no need to jump in, uncompress those. The system will do that during the indexing process. And then for log formats here, we can immediately inject the appropriate regex and also transform and change the different capture groups. And then directly in the application itself, get a virtual kind of preview on what those capture groups will look like. And you can continue to change and modify this as you need to.
Is there any way that I can just have the regex editor? I love a good regex editor. That looked like it was pretty slick there.
Yeah, we can have our UI engineer send that over to you and let you know how we built that up for you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Wow, look at the colors.
Yeah,
that's like I might actually know how to write regex after using this. Probably not.
It's immediate kind of feedback on whether or not you messed it up or not. And then on top of that, you get,
wait, Kevin. You said if I messed it up. I think you're assuming a lot about me.
I write them all day long. So if you need any help, just let me know.
Oh, okay. First. Everybody on chat heard that, right? Hit up Kevin. What's your Twitter handle, Kevin?
Luckily, I don't have one. You can reach me at support@ChaosSearch, though.
There you go. All your regex.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you do have a formatted preview available for all the different capture groups that you did create. So that way you get, again, immediate feedback, letting you know whether or not that data is parsable and what those potential values will look like in those different columns. And I
gotta pause you real quick there. We've got a raid happening to us right now, which is we got to give a shout out and thank CS Lectures coming and joining and watching. Welcome to the channel. Sorry, Kevin, go on.
No problem. And one of the cool things too that we've come up with recently, since the last time we did this type of podcast, is the ability to add these different types of overrides. So one of the big challenges a lot of our customers face moving from an L cluster over to ChaosSearch is this kind of misassociation of types, where sometimes fields would be indexed as strings, others would be indexed as integers, but we're the same exact type, and for some reason there would be back and forth. So you do have the capability to add in overrides if you know specific fields should be assigned an appropriate type, and then have the ability to documents where you can assign the appropriate whitelisting or blacklisting of fields if you have really large schemas that you don't need all 15 fields indexed. You just need 50 or 100. You do have the ability to set that up as well.
Cool. So for anyone just joining, including CS Lectures and your rating party, we are AWS Howdy partner. This is the show that you're watching currently. I'm AM Grabelny. We got Taz Miller up there on the left, Thomas up top, and Kevin. Thomas and Kevin are both from ChaosSearch, an AWS APN partner or Amazon Partner Network partner. We're talking about probably my favorite service, actually. I meant to ask you both, Kevin and Thomas. You probably contractually are legally obligated, since you both work at ChaosSearch, to say that S3 is one of your favorite services, if not your favorite service.
Is the favorite. It is.
Yep.
I base this whole company on Amazon S3.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's how huge I see S3. I mean, this whole index technology architecture is derived from the vision of Amazon S3.
Yeah, and so what we're talking about with ChaosSearch is you've got data in S3 if you're watching. I can almost guarantee if you've ever used AWS, you might accidentally even have data in an S3 bucket, just because that's how it happens. You spin up a bucket, you start dumping data in there. It's really one of the easiest things that you can do. But one of the not as easy things to do is actually to get insights off of that data, especially when it's data like logging or monitoring metrics, things like that. So spinning up an ELK stack or Elasticsearch stack to index that data, it's pretty intensive. It takes some expertise. that's what ChaosSearch is here telling us about, how you don't have to spin up that elk stack. Instead, you can just get some insights from that data living in S3. Continue on, Kevin.
Hey, AM, I just got a text
Oh,
from
yeah.
Lambda, and Lambda feels a little bit sad right now that like you're saying that they might not be your favorite anymore. I don't know. We'll take it off air.
Either. Don't take Amplify. Yeah, don't tell Amplify what I said either. It's not like we're like broadcasting to the public internet or anything, are we?
Well, I mean, you guys know this. S3 is a pillar, right? S3 is a pillar.
Right. Yeah, it's a backbone of so many things.
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever when we started this company, I asked, the vision of leveraging S3 and publishing APIs, analytic APIs off it. Whenever I dare say, "Do you use S3?" they said, "Duh." Like, why do you even ask that question? So, it's a pillar. You guys know it.
Yep.
Hey, you can't use Lambda without uploading your zip file to S3. I'm just saying.
That's right. Funny how that works.
Cool.
Cool. So
All right, Kevin, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so once we have the filters in place, we've gone to make sure that the regex looks. At that point, you just the object group and name. You can set up live index. Today's live indexing process, setting up an advanced notification option on the S3 prefix that we're working with. And then from there, any time there's a create or put event on the S3 bucket itself, that'll send a message to the SQS queue, and ChaosSearch will read directly from that queue and continuously index your data. We're also coming out, actually as of next week, we'll be launching our real-time component. So as index is being, or as data is being indexed, you'll be able to search it near real time, which is a huge win for us and certainly for a lot of our customers as well. And then final step is, Thomas had mentioned a little bit earlier, into I think it was Murray's question around tiering data off to Glacier. We have this concept of a retention policy that allows our user to define which time threshold index data should stay around for and be available for search for their end users. So they have the capability to define this either in days or in months. But obviously the power of ChaosSearch is you have access to your data for as long as you want to keep it. So it's definitely not required at that point. Thomas, I don't know if you want to talk about the live indexing or real-time indexing that we're coming out with.
So the unique thing about, we're a stateless system, and S3 is a source of truth. Our indices, read off your raw source, we index it, and write these indices back into your account. And so as data volumes increase, our ability to dynamically, elastically increase those volumes without having to worry about, something falling over like elastic stack or elk. We have customers that, as ingestion increases, they're typically trying to query it more, and that can put elk stack at its needs. To us, indexing is super high performance. It's very efficient, and the cost to index is so low that, whether it's a terabyte a day or 50 terabytes a day, our system easily keeps up with the indexing process. And as we've indicated, we detect your data sources to understand its schema. If this schema changes over time, we manage it. So if you add more attributes or as attributes change, that's our system worries about that for you. Kevin will get into the data refinery to show you how to change things after things have been indexed or while things are indexing. But the key thing to us is remove the complexity of data movement, schema definition, and the scaling of work to be indexed.
We had a question come in, Thomas, from CS Lectures. Is ChaosSearch the underpinning technology there? Is it Elasticsearch under the covers or some other processing framework?
It is not, and that's why we have actually built our new index technology and architecture, is to solve the scale issues associated with Lucene indexing. We do publish off of our distributed fabric the Elastic API. So to you, it looks like Elasticsearch. We have Kibana integrated into our application. We don't change any of that. It actually communicates like we are Elastic Stack, but the IP that we've created allows us to do what we do on pure object storage, in this case, Amazon S3. So to answer your question, no.
There you go. Cool.
Nice. And as Thomas and AM were talking, we've already indexed almost 11 gigs worth of our ELB logs. And one of the
Wow,
kind of the best parts about the platform, and Thomas alluded to this a moment ago, was we fully index the whole representation of your logs. So whether it's ELB logs that have a pretty static column count of 22, or your CloudTrail logs that have the potential to get up to 500 columns, the system just dynamically adds those new fields as they're present in the log files. And certainly Kubernetes logs can grow, pretty substantially as well. So really any data type, as long as you have it in S3 or you're streaming it to S3 and ChaosSearch is indexing it, the system will dynamically add those new schemas as they become present and then make them available for searching whenever it's needed.
And I would like to add, this is obviously small data to us. If you have terabytes of day and up of data, we want to talk to you. This is where we really shine. Where scaling 10 upwards of data per day is something that we love to chew on, all in S3.
Yeah. And then from there, there's really kind of two approaches that our users take. One's going into the analytics section and starting to work with Kibana and searching on the data. The other is the ChaosSearch refinery. And it's really unique to us because it allows you to do a number of different things. One is you have the ability where we take all those different data sources and create object groups that are independent from one another. The refinery allows you to take those and stitch them back together into one master index. So that way you're not having to manage multiple indices, rebuild multiple indices. It's really just set it and forget it from the object group side, and then start searching and correlating your data as you see fit. And then the other one is certainly taking the logs that we were just working with and then starting to transform that data. So this schema transformation section within the refinery, it'll present all available fields that have already been indexed and then allow you to transform whichever field or as many fields as you would like. So for our customers that are sending us their ELB logs, what they like to do generally is take this URI stem and then chop it up into many different fields. And what we do here is add in the new field name, assign the appropriate type, and then from there, we can go ahead and refresh this, and then we'll have a new formatted preview, just like we did in the storage section, where we can make sure that the regex that AM loves so much parse that data correctly. We have the right values in those fields. And again, we can add additional fields. We can save this specific transform on that field and continue to transform any additional fields. We can also, at this point, make this object group, which is now going to be an index that we search against in Kibana, case insensitive, so that way end users have a good experience if there's inconsistencies in case in different fields. And then from there, the last step is to define that time field, just like we would when we create the index pattern in Kibana. And then at that point, we'll go ahead and give this our new name because we've transformed that field. And really the unique thing, and I'll have you speak to this in just a second, is here in storage, we created one index, which is that AWS Twitch index that we were just working with. But in the refinery, I have the ability to create different representations of my data on that one index. So if the marketing team wants to consume it differently than the DevOps team or the SRE team or the business insights team, then we have the ability to do that directly in place. We don't have to run any ETL scripts. There's no additional hardware or infrastructure to manage. Just simply apply a regex, make that a favorite end user, you can start consuming data differently than those different users in those different departments.
And the thing about it, when you have a large organization where you might want to have different lenses to the data, and you can have policies that say the sales team can see this and the marketing team can see that. And so the idea, the refinery is a cleaning prep type tooling, but it's also a publishing, ability to publish views of your data and aggregate those data views in multiple scenarios.
CS Lectures is killing it with the questions.
Nice.
This is a really I like this question. It really frames a lot of the functionality that you've been showing, Kevin. But CS Lectures wants to know what's the expected application that you all see for ChaosSearch? Essentially, what's the use case, right? What types of things work well?
Well, I'll jump in. So we went hard after the log analytics space because of the, let's call it the L problem, as Taz was mentioning, the inability to cost effectively scale your log analytics. So we're really focused on that. And within there, there's classic scenarios like security, where let's say you have, I don't know, Cloudflare data logs or ELB logs, and you have a denial of service attack, and you want to analyze who's attacking it, what's going on. And then because of our ability to do data retention so uniquely, look past and say, oh, when were they trying to break into the system? What was going on? So security is a classic thing. Application logs is another thing. How is your application working? So classic log, operational, security are classic use cases. But as Kevin will get into, we're a broad data platform, so it doesn't have to be just log data, but it's where we're really focused because of the cost and complexity of scaling out.
Yeah, one unique and really kind of cool use case that we're starting to dive into more is helping our customers gain more share or market share and more revenue, and really taking the data that their application creates and then presenting that data back to their end users and giving them different avenues to allow users to search over 30, 60, 90 days, where they couldn't really have those economies of scale because of Elasticsearch or Elk, because at some point it just becomes too cost prohibitive to keep data around as long as they would like, as well as the amount of sharding and replication that they need to do on a daily basis. That really just eats up manpower, where that's just built directly into our application naturally.
And I'll just add one more thing to that. What's unique about S3, it's distributed storage. So a lot of times those use cases Kevin just described, it's the customer's object storage. So the customer now owns all their data, and it really is resonating in today's world. So that ability to have the customer share a location to store this data and analyze it through our service is really been resonating.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is becoming a hallmark of this show, actually, just because we keep having really great companies on that deal with modern application development. And, you have disparate systems capturing logs across the board, right? Because of this advent and push for microservices. So collecting all of that logging data is just insanely difficult. And then also not only just collecting it, but processing it and actually gaining insights out of, what could be hundreds of services at a lot of companies. I also really like, Thomas, that you dropped in that one more thing like Columbo style there, which I'm really, bringing in the fresh, references that like all the young people on Twitch now know about Columbo. But anyway, just had to highlight that.
No, you got it.
So for our version of Kibana, we've actually gone down the road of working with the Open Distro open source project, and we're recently on the most recent release, which is 7.4.2. And with that,
Open Distro.
Yeah, that's we should take a minute there and explain what Open Distro is. That's also an AWS thing. It's a good.
So I want to give props again. This is a little bit of Amazon love. Not only do we base our product on Amazon S3, but we went all in this summer when you folks made your own distro of Elasticsearch and Kibana and all the tooling. So I'll just leave it at that the Kibana that Open Distro has a lot of features and functionalities that we adore and we've integrated with, so that alerting and monitoring and all these unique aspects of Kibana we leverage to make your S3 that much better.
Thomas, thank you so much. I don't think we as AWS get enough love. But really, I think Open Distro is a really amazing thing and a great story that works well for how you all partner. Really, I mean, you not only pick up on S3, right? One of the greatest services that you can, but also you adopted Open Distro pretty quick, I think.
We were we played it hard. It's a great offering, and big fans.
So CS Lectures, again, gotta shout out. They've got another question. in this talk about scale, they keep coming back to the idea that there are only two, or mostly two, orthogonal ways to scale a search application. Love the usage of orthogonal. Scaling the indexing or scaling the front end, serving incoming requests. CS Lectures has heard a lot about, number one, scaling the indexing, but are there considerations for scaling the front end that actually serves the index as well?
Yes, it's a good question. Let me answer it a couple ways. And I hate to give more love to S3, but let's just call a spade a spade. S3 scales. So one thing to think about, the ability to access S3 anywhere at scale is a real important aspect to our architecture, and our index technology and fabric leverages that quote unquote infinite scale without having to worry about sharding. Our ability to scale, we have the idea through our product to have multi-endpoint access. So, you can have, this region and that region. So we actually do scale out across regions. So from an endpoint or Kibana interface, maybe get a little more specific on the question to make sure that I understand what they're asking for.
Cool. So before, I know Kevin has been sitting here at the Kibana screen here for a minute. I eagerly
like Vanna White.
The wonderful visualization that we're about to experience. But Taz, we give a summary. Where are we? Who are we? For anybody joining right now.
For sure. Yeah, so for anyone who's joining us, we are Howdy Partner. It's your bi-weekly show that you can come and learn about some of the awesome partners that work with AWS. Today, we're joined by ChaosSearch, and they're teaching us how to wrangle our data. So,
all right,
yeah,
Kevin,
for those who are joining.
On your S3.
That's right.
All right, I can move off of the Kibana page now.
Yes.
All right, cool. So as I mentioned, we're working with the Open Distro open source project. So that's the version of Kibana that we're running. And as Thomas had mentioned, we inherit a lot of the cool features of that, which is alerting, role-based access control, and we'll continue to add new features and functionality as that gets rolled out. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward Kibana. We have added a few different enhancements with the query progress bar, as well as the ability to cancel a query. So for that object group now index that we were working with, where we did the transformation on, we can search over 15 minutes, 1 hour, 1 year. But if we misconfigure that search, either syntax or the scope of time that we're searching against, unlike traditional ELK clusters, instead of letting that query just continuously run, take down the entire cluster, wake somebody up at 3 o'clock in the morning to do rolling restarts, you can just simply cancel a query. We'll immediately notify you, let you know, yep, we dropped that query altogether. You can dismiss those and then reformat the time period that you're searching over. So from there, all this, solely on S3, querying your data directly. And then from that point, you can drill into the different documents. We can take a look at the URI stem that we worked with in the refinery, that new representation that happens instantaneously. So as soon as we apply that regex, it gets pushed out to all of our edge workers, and we can start filtering on and searching on all that new data that we've created.
And actually, I would like to talk about the progress bar because it's an interesting aspect that we've added. How often have you had a small data set that, it was over a year and then you switched to another index in Kibana and you didn't realize that it was a petabyte of data and you just killed your cluster? We don't have that issue with our product, but the ability to say, oh, let me cancel that, 30-minute query over petabytes of data, it's really nice. You can actually see the progress of how long it's going to take. We actually know how much work it's needed to indicate the request. So we're going to come out with a feature to tell you how long a query is going to take, and maybe you want to burst, because I know Kevin has a demonstration of that, where we can burst additional compute to do maybe larger aggregations across longer time frames.
Yeah, and really the burst button, besides the cancel query button, which is probably the most used feature within Kibana, the burst button is extremely popular too. essentially what that does is it pulls in additional compute capacity that AWS has out there and allows us to provide additional compute resources for our end users. So as Thomas had mentioned, if you're doing large complex queries or aggregations over large data sets, you can, instead of letting that query potentially take 60 seconds, 45 seconds, once you hit burst, it'll pull in additional compute for up to 2 hours. So that query that typically takes 30 or 60 seconds now will resolve in 10 or 15 seconds, where you're searching over terabytes worth of data for a 2-year period, trying to figure out that specific bug that happened in May of 2018. Now you have the ability to resolve that within a few seconds and then start working on potentially resolving that issue long term.
Is that like the turbo button that you see on
It is
computers?
the turbo button. We
Exactly.
went back and forth whether we called it the turbo, but burst sounds a little more markety, I guess.
It's like NOS in a
turbo.
sports car.
Also, is turbo your favorite American Gladiator? I just put that out there.
You're going old school, and was it that's the 90s? Is that when was that? Late 90s,
Something like
early
that.
2000? I don't even know.
Nitro is pretty good too. So CS lectures, again, these questions, CS lectures going nuts. I love it. Thank you for the questions, CS lectures. Is one user running many queries? Is one user running queries? Is it? I think that's an if one user has many. Yeah, there we go. If one user has many running queries, is it possible to configure QoS and or priority policies across different jobs?
So we have some basic controls today, but we're extending it. Our distributed fabric does have that intelligence where it can steal, it can reserve, it can do a lot of clever things that we plan to in our future release. Allows you to prioritize your queries, prioritize against users. Right now, we support large, medium, small type users, but our architecture, our fabric allows you to get a little bit more control. So you'll love the question, and rather love the definition of what you're looking for, because these are things that our architecture can do, and love to get some input on that.
Yeah, this is one of the beauties of coming on Twitch, right? Is that you can get live feedback from people to get feature requests, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, the cool thing is, with our architecture is we have a whole reservation policy. Kind of think of that as a distributed OS, where the ability to allocate resources per query, per user, per workload is something natural to us. And we can steal resources from maybe a long-standing low priority query, and the system just works. And one thing we haven't talked about, any any node can die, an EC2 instance, any worker can die. Our system's fault tolerant because the source of truth is S3.
Yep. And for our customers using Elk, or people that are transitioning from Elk to ChaosSearch that have APIs already built out and have spent a lot of time and energy kind of building out different architectures to service searches as they're being sent through. One of the cool things that I like with the Open Distro Kibana version is you get this little inspect button here, and allows you to see not just how long it took to service that request, but also a formatted preview of the actual API request as well, and then the response. So that way it makes it extremely easy to just change it from the current one to ChaosSearch.io, and then dropping in search, and then utilizing the APIs immediately instead of having to rebuild the entire API infrastructure and searches that are already being executed. And then from there, you'll have visualizations. Go ahead.
Sorry, I think we are having some stream issues. The stream is lagging according to chat. So hold on. Let's see.